this video, I want to expand upon my point made elsewhere, that it is our responsibility as netizens to check, double check and triple check the conditions marked on the content we might want to use for our creations. I'm going to do this here by going through an example. So here I am on Google Images, images.google.com, and I'm here as I'm doing a video on how companies get goods to customers, so something on logistics for my YouTube channel, and I want to include some images, and of course I want to be a responsible digital creator. So my first job, I'm going to type in logistics and see what I get. Here we have lots of images to choose from, but of course, if we're going to be a responsible digital creator, we need to be sure we are allowed to use these images. So far, we have just done a very general search. So let's filter our results. And to do this, I'm going to go to Settings, Advanced Search, scroll down, Usage Rights, and here I have lots of options. I'm going to choose the free to use, share or modify, even commercially. So just to cover myself as far as possible, and click Advanced Search. So now we have a whole load of images that we can use without concern, right? Well, not exactly. As I've said elsewhere, we always need to check, double check and triple check before using images. Now in this prime example, just because Google pulls these images up, and even though we have done an advanced search, it does not mean I can definitely use these images for my intended use. In fact, Google themselves acknowledge this. Let me show you what I mean. So let's go back to that advanced search, and here, so not filtered by license, and we had picked this one down here. But if you see here, we have a link, so usage rights, and we have Google setting out their position on their find free to use images. And I want to draw your attention to this part here. So what does this note say? Before reusing content, make sure that its license is legitimate and check the exact terms of reuse. For example, the license might require that you give credit to the image creator when you use the image. Google can't tell if the license label is legitimate, so we don't know if the content is lawfully licensed. So, an important, interesting point here. Even though this is a portal to find free to use images, it is expected that we still do our part of the legwork. So let's see what this looks like in action. Let's go back to our results and our advanced search, go through the longer way of doing it. Advanced search here. As you can see, if you click down tools, actually, we have a slightly quicker way of getting to this. Okay, so what do? We've got this whole host of images, but we've been told by Google that it might not be the case that we can use them, even though we have filtered them. Now I have a little bit of a head start here because I know, for example, that Pixabay is a pretty safe use, and I can see that two of the images here that have been brought up are from Pixabay. However, I'm not going to just presume this, but I also want to show you how you can then check the licenses of the platforms that you might be looking to use. So I'm going to click through on this image, and we see over here a note, free for commercial use, no attribution acquired. But let's do our sort of triple check. Pixabay license, and we're taken to this page, the simplified license. So here, note these two opening sentences. Our license empowers creators and protects our communities. We want to keep it as simple as possible. So in other words, this is a resource that is well and truly for netizens. And if we read on, we can find out what we can do with Pixabay content. So what is allowed? 3 things here that clarify this for us. So firstly, all content on Pixabay can be used for free for commercial and non-commercial use across print and digital, except in the cases mentioned in what is not allowed. I'll come on to this in a second. Second point, interestingly, attribution is not required. However, giving credit to the contributor or Pixabay is not necessary but is always appreciated by our community. So there is the option here to support one another and make attribution if you would like to. And the third comment, you can make modifications to content from Pixabay. And that is another important point because a lot of images and other content can be used but without modification. So that's an important point to note. So note that even within this very open license, there are restrictions. So broadly speaking, these restrictions keep the content use within the bounds of netizenship. So let's see what these are. Take points 1 and 2 first. So point 1, we are not allowed to redistribute or sell someone else's Pixabay images or videos on other stock or wallpaper platforms. And point 2, we are not allowed to sell unaltered copies of an image, e.g. sell an exact copy of a stock photo as a poster, print, or on a physical product. And as I have explored elsewhere, conditions on content are often because of commercial reasons and for fair and responsible use. So that tallies there. And the third and fourth points. So third, we're not allowed to portray identifiable people in a bad light or in a way that is offensive. And the last point, which makes a nod to the importance of brand identities and trademarks and such like, we are not allowed to use images with identifiable brands to create a misleading association with a product or service. So what is the learning point from all of this? Let's go back to our original starting point. So in this simple example, we've learnt that even if we use a powerful search engine like Google, we cannot expect it to do all the work for us. We need to do some digging and research to ensure we're using content fairly and ultimately as netizens.